For all of you that did not sleep well last night, my heart goes out to you. And I know what that feels like. But just know that you're not alone in your suffering, and that everything that I do is with your betterment in mind. So don't feel alone. That's the worst part about insomnia is, it's 3 a.m. and you feel all by yourself, and it's like the world is sleeping and here I am. I know what I have to say is not much of a consolation, but just know that, and know that there are other ways to participate with that loneliness, and I'll talk about that more next week, but just wanted to begin that way. So today is the 4th day in the 3rd week of this month, which is really digging into the mindfulness and marksmanship correlation. And I thought yesterday was a really appropriate analogy for what or how the military, through what's called basic rifle marksmanship, creates the quiet mind for the soldier. And it really centers around violence. The use of a weapon as a fundamental tool. Now, of course, this is the wooden M16, so, don't get too riled up about this. The use of violence is fundamental to the military, and it's also fundamental to quieting or taming the warrior's mind. Now, inside the structure of the military, the mind is tamed through all kinds of structures. There's the structure of the loss of self-identity. There's the structure of the high kind of value behind all that structure is to give a soldier a deadly weapon and trust that they'll do the right thing with it and follow orders with it. And so what I've talked about over these past couple days is how at the very act of the trigger press, the very act of, I'm ready to fire, I'm going to fire, boom. The military teaches you to become absolutely focused and present by exhaling and essentially getting out of the way of the gun. You're often told to be surprised by the trigger press. It's a totally selfless act. You are selfless. You get out of the way. Your job is to be the holder of the weapon. Your job is to make sure that this weapon just does its job. And as long as you don't interfere with it, it'll fire where you're ordered to fire. It will fire at who you're ordered to fire at. And en masse, in the hundreds, in the thousands, in the dozens, in the few, this firepower creates the ability for all the rest of society to do what it needs to do, to continue to aspire to a more perfect union. I say that on purpose because that's what happened yesterday. What you won't see very much because you're not supposed to. What you're not supposed to notice is that yesterday went off without a hitch because we had 25 to 30,000 soldiers on the ground. They aren't there as the valuable thing. Their job is to be there so that the valuable stuff, the stuff of America, can get done without the threat of uncontrolled violence. The warriors on the ground make sure that your unprofessional warriors, they have access to those guns too. But because there were 25,000 soldiers on the ground, what you saw was the American mind at ease. And the way you could tell the American mind was at ease by all the beauty the American mind presented to the world. The beauty of song, the beauty of high ideals, the willingness to keep working towards a more perfect union. You saw a building that was at 2 weeks ago overrun, I mean literally overrun. And you saw that that building is just a framework for the greatness that comes out of us. And so I've titled today, "My Mind is Quiet But for the Grace of God, of Violence." And, it's off the phrase, "But for the grace of God, there go I." Talk about that more next week. But this element of violence and its relationship to the mind becoming quiet and singularly focused is important to understand and important to kind of grasp as not only the soldier but also the civilian. We have this really tightly connected role, and that aspect of violence is really, really important to understand. And so when we get to the third bell, right, and we get to this coming into the breath and settling into the breath, what we're doing is we're kind of creating that last piece of, okay, the violence has been kind of squared away. It's been given a place to kind of rest. It's the shoulder that we stand on, and then we stand on that shoulder, and then we move and we aspire to greatness. The last thing I'll say before we get into the training is that part of this is biological. Okay, the part of our brains that's back here, okay, called the old brain or the lizard brain. It's the part of the brain that deals most fundamentally with survival. And when that part of the brain's triggered, all that matters is survival. And so what we do as practitioners of mindfulness and of the four bells is we tame that part of the brain. We don't tame it because that's where we want to stay, or that's the part of the brain we want to, build our lives upon. We tame that part of the brain on our way to the best version of ourselves. It's a stepping through it. You become a part of something bigger than yourself in the military when you learn how to fire that weapon with grace and ease and consistency and reliability. And then you fit into this larger whole, which is the United States of America, the most unique country in the whole wide world by the very nature of who runs it. So let's get into the training. Follow your cues for comfort. It was pleasant to feel the amount of emotion that showed up for me. Lady Gaga's national anthem, crying, just tears streaming down my face. J-Lo was dope. The benediction, the poet laureate, man, I feel the emotion right now. It's wonderful. All right. All right, remember, doesn't matter how you look. What matters is how you feel. So you're looking for comfort. You're looking for as much comfort as you can create, especially for me. For me, a cue is ankles and feet. If my ankles and feet are uncomfortable, it kind of interrupts my practice. So it's cold in the garage as usual, wintertime, such is life. Let's go over real quick the bells. So first bell is taming the mind, and we related first bell to always assuming the weapon's loaded, which is safety, right? So the first bell is senses. Okay, you're looking around, you're settling. You're basically talking to the part of your mind that's always set on threat, okay? And you're saying, look, everything's out here, it's predictable. Okay, cool. Then you take the next step. The next step is into the body, okay? So the body not only holds the moment, but the body also holds your past. So your body keeps score. The stuff that, you know, has traumatized you, triggered you, it's in your body too. And it's not just in your memories as your thoughts, but it's in your body. So your body shows up with stuff. So when we get into the body, two things we're trying to do. We're not only trying to kind of establish a good posture, getting interaction and engagement over time. So we broke the body into chunks. It's bell 2. Now bell 3 is getting to the breath. That's the interaction. Okay? You're interacting with life by choosing to keep coming back to the breath. And there's styles of breathing that you can deploy that kind of work better for certain things than others. We're not going into that. We're just going into the focus on the breath and the act of choosing to stay on the breath. And then the fourth bell, and this is what I mean when I say that the mind is quiet but for the grace of violence. The fourth bell is really where we get to the stuff that makes life worth living. Violence does not make life worth living. If you're dealing with violence and if you're dealing with chaos, it's not something that you can sustain. It's something that can sustain the sustainable stuff, but it's not something that can be sustained as a way of life. So you have to think about the violence as a stepping stone to the better, the best, the highest capabilities. It's a stepping stone to, it's not the place to be. So that's fourth bell. And we describe fourth bell as gratitude and compassion. But there's other ways to think about fourth bell too. And it's important to consider this within yourself. Because as far as I'm concerned, I am but for the grace of God. I found that through my upbringing, my tradition. My job isn't to tell you how or what to find in fourth bell. My job is to create a framework for you to look for yourself and find what's there for you. But I want to say that while I won't proselytize during the bells, I'm always available to talk about my relationship to God if you think you need it, or if you think you don't know where to turn. Because ultimately, the things that we can create individually are just part of what I understand God is. And so, kind of like the quiet mind is a stepping stone, violence is a stepping stone, so is what we are. It's a stepping stone. It's something that we kind of move through. It's the thing that the temporal nature of the human experience is precisely why a relationship to something beyond what you can conceive of has value and is worth considering. And if you don't know how to start that consideration, or you don't know where to begin, or if there's a lot of conflict, because so much of our relationship to God is man-made and there's so many flaws in those relationships, if that's something that you want to explore, please let me know. But anyway, my job is not to talk about that. My job is to create this space for you to practice that. And there's other ways to do it that don't have to, and you can do that without using the word God, period. So anyway, just want to put that out there. So those are the 4 bells. Let's get to them. What do you notice? Sight, sound, taste, touch, smell. I notice quiet. I notice my eyes are heavy. Close my eyes. I notice the light behind my eyes. Feeling of the blanket. The emptiness of smell. Sound of the heater. My mouth feels empty too. Well, it feels wet from yawning. Let's go to bell 2. Ground, what's beneath you? What's under your feet? What's under your legs? Under your rear? Pelvis. How does it feel today? What parts show up? Outside parts, inside parts, pressured parts. Feel more pressure to the left of the base of my spine than I do the right. So I'm going to shift that. And that created a little shift in the way my lower back felt. So I'll move up to core. Sensation is the kind of the feedback loop. The body's the feedback loop. Let go in core a little bit. That created a little lift. And that changed the way my back felt. From there, I'll come up into heart space. Move the shoulder blades around a little bit. Not too high, no pulling up, no slouching down, just finding a mid space. Using the feeling of your body to guide where you kind of set. Use the feeling of your body to guide where you set everything up. Throat space. Maybe a little swallow. Breath in the throat. Just noticed a little tickle of a cough. It's tiny, but I felt it. I felt it kind of flutter up the back of my throat. Top of the head. Top of the head, top of the spine, alert and relaxed. Attack the vagus nerve at the face, soften the face, chin. Now throw a little smile on the face. Maybe it's a smile of the eyes. Kind of feel the lightness of the eyes. Just a little bit of smile on the cheek. A little bit of smile in the mouth. My wife always does this before pictures, but she always kind of creates a laugh. You just kind of, just a little laugh. And feel it. Feel the way the body responds. Let's move to third bell. Feel your breath as it is. Notice where in your body you feel the breath expanding and contracting. Now make it 10% bigger. %30 bigger. 60% bigger. Now 100%, big as you can make your breath. Let it out slow. Now let's play with speed. Inhale, 10% faster than you usually do. Inhale, 40% faster than you usually do. Inhale, 80% faster than you usually do. Inhale as fast as you can. Notice what happens when you inhale as fast as you can. Where do you pull from? Try pulling from your belly. Try letting your belly pull your breath in. Your belly kind of creates a bellow, so it's like your belly pushes out. Now, pull in from like the nose or the neck. See if you can feel the nose or the neck kind of pulling in. See how it's an upward kind of feeling. Okay, come back to normal. You might feel some leftover sensation in the nose, maybe even in the belly. Just notice how cool it is that you can actually feel that. All right, take a breath in, open your mouth, and push the air out with sound. Inhale through the nose. Push the air out with sound. Okay? Now, I'm going to push the air out with closed teeth. Watch what happens. Try that again. Can you feel the temperature difference between the breath coming into your nose and the breath going out of clenched teeth? Try that again. You might really notice how cold the air is coming in through your nose and out through the pushed teeth. It's that contrast. Feel the contrast. Okay, come back to normal. Now get quiet and notice the breath. See See if you can notice the breath at the nostrils, at the little hairs inside the nose. See if you can feel that. Now see if you can feel the breath traveling up the nose, in through the skull, between the eyes. Now see if you can travel up and in and down. See if you can feel the downward feeling of the air traveling in as you breathe. Now see if you can see the fill up. So the fill up, so it's nose, skull, throat, fill up. Then exhale through clenched teeth. Inhale, nose, skull, throat, fill up. Exhale, clenched teeth. Do that 3 times and notice the temperature difference. Sit with it for a second. Fourth breath. Gratitude hands if you want it. What are you grateful for? If you want, maybe, you can zone me out, tune me out, and pick your own stuff, but you can also just follow along with me and let me guide your mind to this place. Just think about the Capitol. Think about 2 weeks ago when the Capitol was overrun. And think about yesterday. The whole Capitol was quiet. The only sounds coming from the Capitol were the sounds of our highest ideals, our highest precepts of what it is to be human. What it is to have a democracy. Those highest precepts were allowed to be uninterrupted and safe because of the armed forces on guard. The fact that we didn't hear about them, the fact that we barely saw them, is a testament to their professionalism. And to that we owe a deep, deep sense of gratitude. Now, if you want, you can shift your gratitude hands into compassion hands. Again, you can tune me out and follow your own line of compassion, but I really want to focus my compassion on those suffering from insomnia and doubt and worry and fear. I hope that there is a moment today that you feel quiet. I hope there's a moment's rest today where you feel the blissful kind of quiet of sleep, the surrender to sleep. I hope you find moments of happiness and joy today. I hope you find motivation to reach beyond your typical patterns and to be willing to go into places that you haven't gone before, to look for support and look for help. Be intentional about how you end. 2 breaths, second exhale finishes the practice. All right. Thanks, Armor Down. Have a great rest of your day. See you tomorrow.